guys, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be some book reviews and then a C-drama review and a movie discussion because I've been gone for a little bit and I have things I want to discuss. But if you like this type of video with books and dramas and reviews, then please like and subscribe and let me know what you're reading, or if you have a drama or book or movie recommendation, tell me in the comments. All right, let's get started. So I've been trying to finish up these series that I start because you should finish the series that you start. But I'm really liking one. The other one I'm kind of about. So let's talk about Dorothy Sayer, because I'm really liking the Lord Peter Wimsey series. And it's so good. I really like the characters. And I feel like the third book, which I just finished, Unnatural Death, was really good. I think it's different enough from like an Agatha Christie, a Sherlock Holmes, to where I can recommend it and just be like, it's something a little bit different. It does have the same, like, like you have kind of a Sherlock and Watson, team. So you have Lord Peter Wimsey, and then you have his there are two guys, that's valet, and then there's also a police inspector guy that he works with. But I really like it so far. And yeah, so this book is going to be about a woman who died without, she was in the process of dying for a long time. She had cancer, and then there's this misconduct allegation against the doctor who was involved in the case, and Lord Peter Wimsey gets involved and is wondering, is this murder? And this one, slight spoiler, but this happens very early on. This one kind of starts with his assumption about who committed the murder, and then you work your way to whether or not he's right. Like, he has to prove it and disprove the alibis and disprove, all the different things that are kind of coming against this conclusion that he's drawn. But he has this person in mind and immediately is like, this is who did it, and then he has to prove it, and then you have to see, was he correct, or was he just being, a little bit arrogant, which is kind of his thing. But I really like it. I like the characters. I think this has a lot of really good, strong female characters. So the mother character was in the other books, and this one introduces a new character. And of course, I won't be able to remember her name, but I'll put it there. And she was great. So she's like this woman that they enlist to help, and because they have to kind of be in two places at once. Like, they're over here working the case in one area, and then she's in another town working the case over there. And she's great. She's like very resourceful, and everyone just kind of sees her as this old woman and that, they're not worried about and they don't really pay any attention to. And she's there getting all the evidence, and she's just great. Love her. I wish I remembered the name, but it's been a while since I read this, so forgive me. And then let's talk about the Black Cauldron. So this is the second book in the Chronicles of Prydain, and it's fine. I will say, this is following Taran, the assistant pig keeper of this pig that has visions of the future, I guess. I don't know. It's a very interesting premise. But we got a lot of Henwin the pig in the first book, and in the second book, it's more so Taran and his kind of growth as a character and kind of figuring out who he is in the world and, what is his place, because he is, just an assistant pig keeper, but he is also being put in all these situations with deadly peril and, evil creatures and stuff like that. So it starts off with him and this other guy having this rivalry, and that's kind of like a big part of the book is he's with the son of this king who's very arrogant and always reminding him of his station, and so there's that clashing. But this was all really boring to me, and this is just the setup. They're trying to go get the Black Cauldron and destroy it, because the way that these evil creatures are made is they're put in this cauldron, and they're called the Cauldron Born, and basically they put in the dead bodies of slain warriors, and then they're reborn as zombies. And so, so they're trying to destroy the cauldron. Well, first get it, then destroy it, and then they won't have to deal with the Cauldron Born. So that's the whole plan. But a lot of this is just traveling, talking, discussing on their journey, and then they, try to get the cauldron, and then what happens from there. But the second half of the book picks up, and there's a lot more action and stuff happening. So first half I was really bored. Second half was a lot better. But I would say it's 3.5 stars, maybe 3. I don't hate it, and I like the characters. I just wish there was more character development, especially for the princess character, because I feel like she needs more to do. She's just kind of there a lot, but it's fine. I will probably get the third book just to see, where it's going, because I did think that it ended pretty well, the second book. Okay, so now that we've gotten the book reviews out of the way, Let's talk about some things I watched. Okay, so let's talk about a movie that I watched. Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. I don't know how that's supposed to be said. Anyway, right there. So I watched this movie, and I have seen the other movies in this monsterverse. This one is not good. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I did not like, I feel like they've been increasingly getting worse as like they get more campy and more, there's more human characters, and the introduction of like human characters that you actually care about is not something that they can do, because all of those people could have died, and I was like, okay. The acting, meh. I felt like especially the Dan Stevens character, who I've seen him in other stuff like that one, Downton Abbey. I couldn't even watch the whole, I watched the first season. Anyway, Downton Abbey, I saw him in that, and he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. I've seen him in other stuff, and I'm like, Dan Stevens seems fine normally. But I don't know if they told him to do that weird accent. I was like, isn't he British? And then his character was like so weird, like weirdly, like, I don't know. I was not connecting with this. I was like, what is going on here? Like, he's like all like huggy and like, oh, I love nature and all this stuff. And I thought okay, there's gonna be some spoilers ahead. Just get this. I'm gonna talk spoilers, okay? If you weren't turned off by Kong picking up little Diddy Kong and swinging him around as like a club, and Mothra essentially being like Kong or Godzilla's girlfriend, able to calm him down and get him into the fight. Like, if that's not all turning you off to the ridiculousness of this movie, then there's nothing I can say. So anyway, Dan Stevens' character, I was like, the character arc has got to be that he is this unserious, like ridiculous kind of like over the top, like love is everything, nature, wonderful, and he's this vet, and he's always trying to heal animals, and he's all about like the hippy dippy, like that's how he comes off, like attitude. And I thought, okay, so in the end, he's going to die because he will be that will be the character arc, is that he's going to take some things seriously. He's going to realize how serious the situation is. He's going to sacrifice himself, greater good, etc. But I feel like Hollywood is really against a character arc, all the way around to actually like something changed with this person. Because the way that they've like just cut the legs out from underneath these guys to where it's like, you can't even have that character arc. Like he has no character arc. He's the same guy. He comes in at the end and like, woohoo. And he always has these really dumb songs playing, which I hated the soundtrack too, because it seemed so out of place in this movie. And I feel like they didn't learn anything from the other movies where there was the one that's set, I think it's Skull Island or something, but it's set in a time where like the older nostalgic music works because it's actually that time period. But this, no. I did not like it. Like I said, I didn't like Godzilla and Mothra. Like, what was that? Like, Mothra is such a I love Mothra. And I was like, what is she like? Essentially like the female energy that like is needed to like calm Godzilla down and convince him to fight. I didn't like that. I was like, no, Mothra is great by herself. Leave her alone. Like, she's not just Kong's like girlfriend. This is stupid. I didn't like the whole, is it the other monkey? Like, he had some like that cool weapon thing, like he was swinging around, but I thought that was dumb, and I did like the other Titan, I guess it's introduced, which is like that, I don't remember the name, but he's like the ice one. Although his size changed dramatically throughout the film, where I was like, what is happening here? Why is he smaller and bigger depending on what's needed? Not that this film would be inconsistent, but anyway, the idea being that the whole movie, I won't give the premise, it's ridiculous, it's over the top, but I do expect better storytelling and better characterizations even in MonsterVerse films, and this was not it. Like, me and my husband kept looking at each other like, did that just happen? Did we really just see that? And that's not how we usually are during movies. Usually it's more like I'm asking him about like what weaponry is used and like, oh yeah, would that have really worked? And how would that happen? But no, we were just kind of in awe, shock and awe, not in a good way. So yeah, I'm not gonna recommend this one, but I hope that they take this series or this franchise in a better place, because I feel like the human characters are such a they drag down this series so bad. Like, they just are so poorly written. I didn't care about the little girl, which is, you should care about. I was like, she can die, it's okay. I don't have that much of a connection to her. I thought that her character arc would be that she would stay. They would make more of a point of her, staying with her tribal people, but they didn't. It was all like, and the totally unearned thing of her going back with her adoptive mom was unearned. Like there was no emotional connection because it did never feel like they had that. Like their relationship was one of the like most stiff, like, oh, remember I love you because I'm your mom. Remember I love you because I'm your adopted child. Like it, no, sorry. I don't mean to be critical. Like I said, I love Godzilla. I love Mothra. I like King Kong. I like those films, but I would like to like them more and not be annoyed. Okay, so let's talk C-drama. I watched Snowfall, Snowfall, which is about a vampire. And it's very interesting, the vampire lore that's involved, because there's basically these stones that fall down, these 3 different stones that grant power to these 3 families. It's kind of implied that there's like a meteor that broke apart. And one of them gets the power of like, you know, immortality basically, and being indestructible, super speed, but they realize they have to drink blood. Like basically all these different powers come with a price. Some of them get the power to see the future and they have visions and they can control people's minds. But you know, then the negative side of that is that they die before like 30. Like they have like a very shortened lifespan. So anyway, the vampire is one of those, they have to drink blood. And this guy is actually turned, and he is now living, it's been like, he's been alive a few hundred years or whatever. And he's just living his life, but he meets a girl who is blind, and it's like, then they have a relationship, and she's being very, very like abused in her family. And so it starts off actually like much more heartwarming and like low stakes, and then kind of ramps up. And I thought that was good. I do think that it could have been a lot better. It's only 24 episodes, which is short for a C-drama, but I wanted a lot more. The chemistry was there between the leads when they were allowed to have the chemistry, but I think because there's such a big age gap between these 2 actors, I'll put them here. They definitely didn't have any kiss scenes. There's a implied kiss, but you can tell by the way that it's filmed that they weren't actually kissing. And yeah, it was, I get why, but this actor, he has been in other C-dramas where he has been with a younger lead, and they have had kiss scenes and it's not been an issue. He was in The Legend of Fu Yao, and he played kind of a similar like stoic character, and he had a much younger love interest, and they were like, yeah, they were fine. So I get it if it didn't, like the actors weren't comfortable with it, or they're, you know, this actress might be new, but it was definitely like, it didn't seem like their relationship was realistic. In the romantic sense, they seemed more like siblings, like an older brother, younger sister. But I would say the actress was great. There's some good action scenes, definitely some like, you know, interesting vampire lore and different powers and stuff that are introduced. But overall, it was like 6.5 out of 10 for me. Not like the best. I would say aesthetically gorgeous. The costumes, the look, the girl's wardrobe, the guy's wardrobe, the styling of it all, the way that it's like, there's a lot of snow against like with these, you know, bright red colors, and like, it just looks great. It looks very like vampire, like it has that dark brooding aesthetic, and it's very, very pretty. But yeah, it was kind of a miss for me. I do, you know, I think it was fine, but I think it could be better, for sure. So that's pretty much it for what I've been doing, watching, you know, all of that. I will say I've been kind of debating my channel and continuing this and continuing with reviews. I will you can hop off now if you're not interested in hearing me ramble about something for a few minutes, but as far as like the fandoms and the toxicity that there is surrounding like online discourse of reviews, books, movies, dramas, etc., I'm kind of just debating whether I want to be a part of it, because I just don't know that I'm interested. Like, I feel like it's so ridiculous how like far people will go to, you know, attack somebody for their opinion about a fictional character, whether that's in a book or a movie or a show. I know there was an author like recently that got kind of bullied off social media because of her opinion about the whole Peeta and Gale situation from the Hunger Games. And I'm like, you can be team whoever you want. This is not real. Whether you're team Peeta or team Gale and from the Hunger Games, the books are done. The choices have been made. It didn't affect anything, and it doesn't change who you are as a person. Like, you don't have some moral superiority because you picked Peeta over Gale or vice versa. But I do feel like because so much of this happens, you know, on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, people feel very, very comfortable saying really, really inappropriate things that they would never say to your face. And like I was talking to somebody about a fictional character from a show, and just like, you know, you think you're fine because you're talking to someone, you're like agreeing and you're just having a good time. Like, oh man, I love discussing books and movies. Love, 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 love. That's why I made this whole channel. I think it's so fun. And I love when people disagree with me and you can have a really good conversation about what you liked and what they liked and what they saw and what you saw, because that's the fun. Like, that's why I do this. I like discussing books and movies. And I love when people tell me like, oh, well, you got that from it, I got this from it, and that's cool. That's why I'm here. But I was talking about a character, and this lady basically just caught on to be like, yeah, well, you think that because you're ugly. And I was like, I think I'm too old for this. Like, I was like, for one, I am not young anymore. I have 3 brothers. I've been called much worse than ugly. Like, you're not going to bully me off of social media by calling me ugly, but I just like, I don't know. I just don't know that the like nuance needed for these discussions is there anymore. I don't feel like people appreciate it. I feel like they want you to be fully, you know, a rabid fan, or like just keep your mouth shut. And that's not what I want to do. I've avoided books because of this. Like, Sarah J. Maas has a very rabid fan base, you know, and I'm not calling her out. Like, I read one of her books. I do have a somewhat negative review because I didn't like it, but I didn't read any more because I just didn't want to interact with that. I know that they are very active online. And then, you know, just other things that I've just like not talked about, other books that I'm like, I don't want to deal with that, because I know that there's so many people that really love that series or are really, you know, feel a certain way about these characters. And, you know, I don't know that I want to be a part of it. So I don't feel like I should be avoiding things, and I don't feel like I should be avoiding books and shows. And I've definitely even thought about, you know, moving forward talking about dramas, because that's another big thing within that, you know, the whole drama conversation is the shipping of certain characters, getting into actors' personal lives, and it can be very, very toxic. So I kind of would like your thoughts. Tell me what you think. If there's any books, shows, you know, things you avoid discussing because of the negative fan base. And I realize that that's just everywhere. But I do think it's worse now, because even when I was making my Star Wars videos back in the day, I didn't get a lot of like negative feedback, and I know nobody hardly watched those, but I felt fine talking about Star Wars, and I was a Reylo fan back then. So, I mean, I was putting it all out there. But anyway, so like, I felt like even though I had a pretty negative opinion about the Star Wars sequel trilogy, I wasn't afraid to like say it. I wasn't feeling like, oh, I need to keep my opinions to myself, or I should be careful, or like the way that I word things. But now I would be very careful. Like, I would be very careful about what I said online, the way I word things, the way I word a review. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to like self-censor to, you know, not have to deal with bad behavior. Like, and I don't care if people call me ugly, like that's not a big deal, but I don't want to have people being like, you can't have this opinion, or you should shut up, or you know, it's like, I want to be able to talk about books and movies and shows. And I am super, like, I'm one of those people that's very critical, but I am, because I like to talk about details. Like, even Lord of the Rings, the best movie trilogy, you know, ever made, in my opinion, I will pick it apart because that's what I like to do. I love to talk about the details. I love to talk about the things I think they shouldn't have changed from the books, what they did change, what works, what's better. That's the fun for me. So I don't know, moving forward, I might be here less. I don't know, I might change it up a little bit as far as, you know, the content that I'm filming, or I might just take a little break. I'm not sure. But yeah, let me know what you think about it, because I wonder how it affects other people. Like, are we talking less about our opinions, not putting it out there, not being honest about our feelings about books and shows and things, because people are so attached to these fictional worlds? And I will say, my like one video, sorry, I'm so rambly, but I don't know when I'll film again. My one video that gets so much views still to this day is my review of Anne with an E, which I didn't like, and people still comment about how I'm wrong, or how like my opinion is not right. And I'm like, an opinion is just an opinion. Like, you can argue with them, like what the points I'm bringing up in my review, which I don't even think that was a very good review. It was so long ago. It was like 4 years ago. I wasn't doing reviews then. I just watched a show and kind of like did my off the cuff feelings about it. But people really took that personally, and it's like you're attacking their fandom, like it's like their friends, their like family. And like, we need to just step back. This is not real. I am critical of most things, and you know, even things I love like the Monsterverse and Godzilla and all that. Like I'm very critical because I want good content. I'm not just like gonna lie and say I love something to say I loved it. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I have a book that I'm working on, Bluff. It was recommended to me. I am reading it. I already got it. And then I've got the second Jungle book. There's 2. So I'm reading the second one now too. And then hopefully I'll get a review for those to you guys soon. But like I said, with the move and everything, I'm not sure when I'll be filming. I'm kind of all over the place, and I apologize for being so rambly. I've been sick and I'm trying to get back into things. But if you've watched it this far, I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys soon.